to air, 1 minute to the live stream. One minute to air. The live stream has started.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thank you all for being here. We will get right to business. This meeting is called to order at 9:30 a.m. Thank you, colleagues, for being here. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Williams,
I'm here.
Mayor Pro Tem Middleton,
I'm here.
Councilmember Baker,
Here.
Councilmember Caballero,
Here.
Councilmember Freeman,
Present.
Councilmember Rist.
Here.
Thank you.
We're here today to select the person that will fulfill the Ward 3 seat that was vacated by myself on December 4th. Colleagues, this will be a very short meeting, I'm pretty sure. I'll state, the case, and I'll name my selection, and then I'll open it up for the rest of you to state your selection. And if we get 4 votes, then we will have that person. If we do not, then I will open the floor for further discussion. And if we are not able to identify 4 votes on one person, then it will send us to a special election. And then we'll go down the process of what that looks like, and the cost, and the just all of the procedures for it. All right. I'll get right into it. I want to thank all of the candidates for being crazy enough to want to serve publicly here. Durham is a special place. We are a hyper-political town, and it's a good thing, how messy it can get sometimes. It is a good thing. I appreciate each of the candidates who care and love enough for the city to want to serve your community. I'm especially proud because just knowing, of course there are, professionals all across this city, but just seeing the talent that comes out of Ward 3, that's special to me. You all are my most immediate neighbors. So I appreciate you. Each of you, to the candidates, each of you all had very impressive resumes. Each of you had very strong supporters. I actually appreciated the diversity in which you all brought through your supporters. And I appreciate the diversity in your backgrounds and just showing how beautiful this city is. I also appreciate some of the specificity in your skill set from land use to our senior care, and aging and youth engagement to our, just the general wholesomeness of understanding politics to housing. And all of those things matter to me. So after going back, looking at the videos again of your interviews, going and looking at, really assessing this council and looking at the expertise that we have on here, and as the leader of this council, I'm the one that have to govern us, and I'm the one that's going to have to work with each of you to accomplish not only the things that you want to accomplish, but also the things that's going to help define us as an effective council. So I have looked at, the strengths and weaknesses from my point of view on the council. I've looked at, what the city needs. I've looked at how we can work with the actual city staff. I've looked at your resumes again. I've looked at what is that missing piece and how we're going into this year and how hard this budget year is going to be. The ability to make tough decisions, being passionate about serving, but not so passionate that you're blindly or irresponsible to the point where you can't see anything else beyond a particular point. And I thought that was a trait that many of you all shared. So for me, colleagues, I have decided, while all the candidates are great, I've decided to select from my position, Sheila Huggins. And what I'll do now is I'll open it up to who would like to go next. Don't all jump at once. All right, Councilmember Baker.
I agree. I think the candidates, including the candidates that didn't move forward, I was impressed by a number of those folks. But the four who made it to this final round, I was deeply impressed by. I thought that each person had skills that would complement the skills of the council members up here, and I think that's important. Is being able to complement one another in order to effectively advocate in a comprehensive way for Durham residents, and that's what I saw. I saw competence. I saw folks who were deeply respected by their peers. Mr. Swain, I thought your land use knowledge was as someone who cares about land use and thinks a lot about land use, very impressive. Ms. Boer, I saw that you were deeply caring about the community, and the folks that spoke up for you were passionate. I saw tears, literal tears when people spoke for you. Ms. Huggins, we've known each other for a while, and I've had the opportunity to see not just the interview that you gave, but basically years of you in the community with commitments to the community and the experience and the skill sets. Ms. Cook, I was deeply impressed by the depth and the breadth of the community members that spoke. And I also felt that the housing skills that she brought to the table were also something that would complement this council very well. At this time, I'm very close between Ms. Huggins and Ms. Cook. For now, I'm going to say that my vote is for Ms. Huggins, but I want to see what the rest of our council members have to say.
Next. Thank you, Mr.
Jump in.
Councilmember.
I echo my colleagues' comments about the process, the quality of the candidates, both the larger pool as well as the 4 finalists. It was a pleasure to read your questionnaires with deep and thoughtful ideas about the questions we asked. I was also particularly impressed by the folks you brought to speak for you here, and as one who's been part of this process, at least for half of the process, I was deeply impressed by that and the folks who spoke for all of you. You know, I've also been thinking about this in terms of what we need on this council, what the community needs. Certainly folks who can work together as a team and govern together is a critical part of the evaluation process. I also thought a lot about the themes that motivated my campaign, and that includes shared economic prosperity, safe, affordable housing, community safety, and a clean environment free of environmental injustice and harms. And so in thinking about those sort of issues that have motivated my campaign and the community deeply is inspired by, and in thinking about who can best serve on this council, I'll be supporting Chelsea Cook. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next. Councilmember Caballero.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good to see the folks here, the applicants here. Again, agree with everything my colleagues have said. It takes a lot to step up to serve your community. As I've said, it can be a very intimidating process. So thank you to everyone who applied, and especially thank you to the folks who made it to this round. I will be supporting Chelsea Cook this morning, and I think her knowledge on housing, especially with evictions, is just, quite frankly, very impressive, having spent many a morning in the courthouse watching that process and knowing how tied it is to our broader housing policy. I think it's a skill set that we need, and at this time we'll be supporting her. Thank you.
Thank you. Either one of you all want to go?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, colleagues. Good morning, everyone in chamber and watching. This is, of all my years on council, the most important and least desirable decision I like to make. It's most important because, of course, the city council is the final arbiter of city business. It's least desirable because, for me, a selection process is inferior to an election, by definition. These seats belong to the people of the city, and they should have really the final say. But be that as it may, because of the requirements of law and requirements of statute and our ordinance and charter, this decision falls to us. We have to make a good faith effort to fill them. But because a selection process is inferior to an election process, a selection process invites us as council members to engage in some metrics that voters might not have to. We get to actually make a tailor-made decision based upon our own expertise, our experience, and the assessment of the council. That's what a selection process is. So we can't put ourselves in the place or stand as proxies for 300,000 people. I'm not even gonna knock myself out or exhaust myself to try and pretend that I know what 300,000 people, who they would select. So because the burden and responsibility falls to me to make a selection in this process, I want to be very clear that I'm very selfish as a council member. I look at what I think would best serve us outside of an election and what we need at this time. These are 4 incredibly impressive people. The reason why I voted for them to advance to the interview process is because they showed up incredible on paper. No matter what happens, I hope that the 3 remaining candidates, I hope I see your name on a ballot in the future. I hope I see you engaged in the public square. I hope I see you seeking public office based upon what we've seen here and what we've seen in the interview. So after, like the mayor, looking at the interviews and looking at applications, I thought to myself, when I watched the interviews, to me there was a clear standout candidate. Interestingly enough, my decision swang not on a question I asked, but a question one of my colleagues asked. Councilmember Caballero asked a question where she gave the question in advance and invited candidates to do homework and look at cases. And by my assessment, there were 2 candidates who came back and actually looked at the corpus of our decisions and demonstrated knowledge of the corpus of our decisions. Of those 2 candidates, I thought the candidate who knocked the question out of the park was Sheila Huggins. And I say that knowing that this council, while there are 7 of us on the council, there are more than 7 areas of expertise that we govern over. So just mathematically, we're not going to get an expert in every field on the council in every area we make decisions. That's not really what representative government does. With that said, however, I think that the temperament and knowledge, the knowledge of our work, a demonstrated knowledge of our corpus of decisions, intimate knowledge of how the city works, meets the standard for me that I employed. And let me tell you what that is. There's no doubt all of these folk will be collegial. All of these folk are passionate. I can hang out with all of them. We'll get along with every one of them. So there's no doubt that they won't be good council members. My test was the day 1 test. Who was most prepared on day 1 to engage us in rigorous debate, not only on the decisions we're going to make, but on the corpus of decisions we've already made? Who was ready on day 1? Remember, this is a selection, not an election process. So I get to do this. Day 1, who's ready to take up the reins of leadership, who has the most intimate knowledge of our org chart, someone who's worked in our org chart already, someone who's got impeccable credentials, a demonstrated commitment, someone who the people of Durham has given thousands of votes already over the years. There's a significant portion of our population that has already demonstrated confidence in Sheila Huggins. I'm proud of Durham, and I'm proud of this incredible group of folk who have come forward. But based upon my day 1 test, and based upon what I saw at that interview, and based upon what I heard from the supporters, for me, the clear decision, irrefutably, is Sheila Huggins. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I yield back.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And lastly, Councilmember Freeman.
I have been mulling this over and going back and forth on a number of candidates. I have to say that I really have been very impressed with the candidates, and I know that we would be well served with any one of you on council, but it's really a hard decision to make for the city of Durham. In the same sense, it's really easy to choose who I would like to see on council. And I have to say that based on the applications and the interviews, I was pretty sold on Ms. Cook. And I have to say that, Ms. Bonner, I really appreciated your depth of history or depth in experience with seniors and families in our community, and I really want to lift that up. And I will say that Ms. Huggins, your commitment to serving in this community is unmatched. But it was Chasten Swain who really kind of rised above, because I had not really considered you as a candidate. And so I will say that I am in between Chasten Swain and Chelsea Cook at this point.
So where?
I mean, based on where we are, I would have to go with Chelsea Cook.
All right. So so we are at a gridlock here. What I'd like to do here now is offer the opportunity for anyone to, if anyone is willing to change their vote to prevent us from going to an election. Or if not, I'll leave it as is and we will go to an election. Point of order? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for yielding. I want to thank my colleagues for an excellent conversation. I'm not changing my vote. I do want to say that and I know that in the past, Mr. Mayor, that we've dealt with this as a council. It is not our duty to avoid an election as a council. That's not what, the charter contemplates an election for a reason. And I think we've made a good faith effort at it. You know, there's no number 2 for me in this particular case, and I trust the people of Durham. As I said, the seats belong to them. So I'm not fearful of an election, colleagues, if that's what we need to do. The seats do belong to the people, ultimately, and it's not our duty to avoid an election. Our duty is to make a good faith effort to make a choice, and I think we've done that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I think that was why I initially mentioned the ranked choice voting, in that it would allow a process that would actually rank our choices in a way so that we could see who might rise to the top in a way that's not just, you know, pick one person, because that's kind of like the basis of our current system that doesn't really work very well for us. And I think that would serve us today if we were to rank them.
Mr. Mayor, if I might.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, and I appreciate Councilmember Freeman's point. Ranked choice voting isn't really a cure for this, because there are some decisions that are your decision, full stop, and there isn't a second. If a colleague wants to, well, yeah, that's it. Ranked choice voting is not a cure for this, because again, to me, that feels like we're looking for a way to avoid an election. And, you know, that's how we got our jobs. We're elected. So this kind of efforts to avoid whether it's the cost of democracy and doing business. I prefer coming down as close to possible as retaining full ownership rights of these seats for the people of Durham, the same ones who put us here. And I didn't get here by ranked choice voting, by the way. My voters just voted for me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Councilmember Burris?
It seems to me that the art of politics is all about compromise. And I want to second the comment from my colleague, Councilwoman Freeman, that having a ranked choice voting methodology is a way not to arrive at a decision that would be, you know, not just the least common denominator, but allow us to arrive at sort of like a, you know, if we can't reach compromise on one person, it sort of gets to the next best candidate for us. So I think that's to me, part of the art of politics. I think a ranked choice voting methodology would be a way to get at our best option here. So I would support that.
Councilmember Caballero?
Thank you. I just wanted to share that I did reach out to, as Chair of Procedures Committee, to each council member to have conversations, and specifically asked around ranked choice. And what was made clear was that, as Mayor Pro Tem has stated, that he had no second choice. And so that was part of one of the reasons I didn't raise it. I appreciate Councilmember Freeman raising it this morning. I just wanted to share that so that there was transparency, because it's being named here on the dais, and I didn't want folks to think that there hadn't been honest conversations around proceeding that way. But I did not see a way forward on that. Open to having that conversation here, but that's why I hadn't raised it. Thank you.
Councilmember Baker?
I was also in favor of ranked choice voting. I do agree with Mayor Pro Tem. I wish that we had the option that Carborough has in selecting the process. I also do believe that we need to make a good faith effort. We chose this process. We're going through it. Some folks don't have a second choice. I happen to have a second choice. I've heard one or two other folks up here who have a second choice. I wanted to see how the votes ended up falling and how folks felt about their selections. So at this time, I'm willing to compromise on someone who we can get to 4 on this morning. And right now, it sounds like that is Chelsea Cook. So I'm willing to make my vote to Chelsea Cook.
All right, so that looks like we have Looks like we have 4 votes for Chelsea Cook. So what we will do at this time, we will put this over to the hands of the clerk, and we will proceed that way. I will not be here tonight, but to my understanding, she will receive the oath tonight at tonight's meeting.
Mr. Mayor, could you do a hand vote, please?
I'm saying,
Could
sorry.
you do a hand vote, please, for Ms. Cook?
All right, colleagues, all in favor of Chelsea Cook to confirm for the record, please raise your hand.
Point of order.
Yeah.
Madam Clerk, the vote count should reflect the final vote of 4-2, but in light of the results will be certified. As an act of goodwill to our new colleague, I want to change my vote to Chelsea Cook as well to reflect a vote for her, and my congratulations to her.
Madam Clerk, Chelsea Cook will have a unanimous vote. Colleagues, thank you all so much. Candidates, again, thank you all as well. And I look forward to this council being whole. And now that we have 7 members, I will make sure I get those committee assignments out to each of you. I'll make the final draft, hopefully today. Get ready to work. This meeting is adjourned.